Well, we always say retirement is a journey, one that you shouldn't have to navigate solo. So that is why every week here on The Right Path to Retirement, we turn to financial advisor Jimmy Lynn, certified financial planner and the founder of Right Path Wealth Management right here in Las Vegas. All right, let's get into it, Jimmy. Listen, I know we're a Raiders family around here, but I do want to talk about the Gronk for a little bit today. Rob Gronkowski, he played 11 seasons in the NFL before he retired back in 2022. And I would say the man is doing pretty well for himself. He was recently on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, and he admitted that he has never dipped in to his pro football salary. I want us to take a listen to this clip because this surprised me.
I'm very frugal and lived, with a roommate my first couple of years. I didn't know how long the NFL was going to last. I was a second round pick, so it was like a 4-year, $4 million deal. And I was like, if I play this contract out, I'll be set for life. I got $2 million in my bank. I can make $200,000 of interest. I was like, if I only play 3-4 years, I'm good. Like, if I'm not the player, that I think I could be, whatever, I'm still set for life because $2 million in the bank is set for life to me, at that time. I just always wanted to save it. And I just used my money that I was getting off the field to just spend it on whatever I needed to spend it on. To this day, technically, I have not spent any of my NFL money.
So this was pretty impressive to me, but we obviously don't have to be making Gronk money to follow this plan, Jimmy. So I'm curious if you can talk about ways that we can separate our spending money from our retirement money, kind of like the Gronk was talking about.
Yeah, and it's true. We don't have to have Gronk money in order to apply some of these principles, because if you think about really what Rob Gronkowski is saying, he is applying a lot of principles that we tell people about, which is he's trying to minimize risk. Right. He doesn't know if he's going to be the player that we now know he is. So he doesn't want to just squander all that money, because we've heard so many horror stories of the opposite happening for a lot of athletes. So he's trying to minimize risk. He's trying to live below his means. And that's a lot of what we're talking about, because it's almost like delayed gratification and just making sure you have a plan. But for those of us that don't have these $2 million contracts, there's still ways that we got to figure out, how do we make sure that we are in retirement, we're going to be able to retire comfortably and be able to spend what we need. And it really comes down to almost a bucketing strategy, very similar to what Gronk is saying. You have your long-term money that you have out there, but then what he was spending his day-to-day money on was, endorsement deals and things of that nature. Now, what can we do in our lives? We can create these buckets of money where, we all have our income possibly coming in, whether it's still working, doing some side gigs, or Social Security. But on top of that, whatever our expenses are, we're going to need some additional funds. So what we want to do is allocate a bucket of money that cannot lose any value. And that's going to kind of be our near-term spending money, say 1 to 2 years of living expenses. Then we're going to have a medium bucket. We're talking 3 to 10 years where you want a little bit of additional growth. You still don't want to be exposed to any risk. So we may be thinking of conservative investments, high quality bonds, even indexed annuities that cannot lose value, but, can participate in market growth. And what this allows when you start creating those first two buckets is then we can actually put money in a long-term bucket, like investing in the market, because we know that the stock market, generally speaking, gives us the best potential for long-term growth, but also has the most volatility. So we want to make sure money in there can't go down in value at a time that we need it. By creating these different buckets, I think we can kind of mimic a lot of what Rob Gronkowski is doing.
Okay, so once we've got these buckets in place, that kind of leads us to the how of it all. How do you actually start building that cushion? So, Jimmy, what tools or habits can help somebody protect their future without feeling like they're giving up too much right now in their lives?
Right. So everything I kind of said was very conceptual, but what you want to do to actually implement this is actually create a plan. We tell people all the time, when you create a actual written documented plan, what type of investments are you going to have? How are you going to draw your income? What's your tax situation going to be? When you create your plan on paper, or in our case, on a big screen in our planning software, we can validate numbers. That provides a lot of clarity for our clients, and then that gives them the confidence to spend their money on whatever they want. Take those vacations. I always like to say spoil the grandkids or pick up those hobbies, because you can spend the money. That 3, 4, 5 years from now, you got another bucket of money that's going to refill your bucket. And so creating a plan is going to allow them to then do all the fun stuff. And so all the concepts we talked about, It's all nice conceptually, but you got to put it on paper so that you understand how it actually works in the background. If someone's out there at home and they are understanding that they need some type of concept like this, but they do not have a plan, Casey, that's exactly what that 30-minute call is with myself. So get on my calendar. We can start that conversation and start walking through how to create one of these plans. I'm at 702-744-8344. We'll be able to get you on my calendar for that conversation.
702-744-8344. Jimmy has these 5 spots set aside on his calendar exclusively for our radio listeners, and having that plan set in place with the help of a professional is going to help you find that confidence that everyone's looking for in retirement. So I highly encourage you to take advantage and schedule some time to speak directly with Jimmy. 702-744-8344 or online too. RightPathWM.com is that website for you. So we work on these habits, and those can really help you build momentum, Jimmy, early on. But I kind of want to talk about a different side, a different piece of the retirement puzzle, the guaranteed income side of things now. And even the wealthy are a part of this conversation. You might assume that somebody as rich as Oprah Winfrey does not even bother with Social Security. But the fact is she is entitled to it because she has put in those working hours, just like everybody else. And because of her billions, she qualifies for the maximum benefit, which is $5,108 per month, as long as she waits to claim it at age 70. Now, that's probably pocket change to her, but as we know, Jimmy, Social Security, it's a lifeline for millions of Americans. It's designed to cover about 40% of your income in retirement. So I'm curious if you can talk to us about a strategy that might mimic Social Security and can kind of help fill that income gap for retirees.
Yeah, well, Social Security, for people that don't know, is the basically largest annuity that exists in this country. So a great way to mimic an annuity, or a Social Security, I should say, is through creating another stream of income that you can't outlive that's going to complement Social Security, and that is going to be an income annuity. Because the reality is this. Back in, I would say, the 1980s, I would say like 80% of the population had a pension from their employer because historically speaking, people would work 30 or 40 years with the same company. Yeah. They would retire, and then they would get their guaranteed income from Social Security, guaranteed income from a pension. Then they introduced the 401k in the early 80s, shifted that responsibility to the employee. And now you were supposed to build a nest egg that you were going to live off of that was then going to also complement Social Security. Well, as we all know, you can grow a nice 401k or 403b, but then you actually have to have a plan on how am I going to make this last forever? And if you get a market crash like we did in 2008, where 50% of the values for many people were lost, that's going to reduce your amount of income. So in retirement, you need to almost recreate that pension that used to exist through the 401k that you're growing. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times what we see clients doing is they may take a portion of their 401k and they want to turn that into that lifetime income stream, just like those pensions that used to exist. And the way to do that is through a guaranteed lifetime income stream through an annuity. So we use those tools all the time because, again, it gives people that confidence. When you know you're getting a guaranteed check from Social Security and a guaranteed check from your annuity, then that's typically going to handle your basic needs. And then you use the rest of the money you have for all the fun stuff. So that would be a great way to kind of create a strategy for income in retirement.
Yeah, I mean, what people love about Social Security is that stability, the consistency, the confidence that it provides. So, Jimmy, if somebody wants to build a retirement plan that feels as reliable to them as Social Security does or once did, what steps should they take early on in their journey to make sure that they're not overly dependent on market swings in their portfolio?
Yeah, so first thing is kind of really determining, what are my income needs? Most of us have an estimate of what our Social Security is going to be. And so we want to fill the gap of figuring out if Social Security is going to cover about 40% of my basic food, shelter, healthcare needs. We want to try to fill the rest of that gap so that at least we have our minimum requirements met. If we rely on the market to fill that and then we get a market dip, that's going to be pretty detrimental to our long-term success. So figuring out what our income shortfall is And then carving out some money towards an income annuity could be really beneficial. And the earlier you plan for that, the better planning you can do, because generally speaking, if you let these accounts grow by delaying your income stream, so if I put it in today, but I don't need income 5-10 years from now, my guaranteed amount that I'm going to get every month is going to be larger. So planning now, understanding what your income shortfall is going to be, would be something that I would advise.
Like I said earlier, retirement is a puzzle, and there are many pieces to the puzzle. As Jimmy well knows, there are a lot of factors to consider, and having that professional, somebody with years of experience in the game to help guide you, is going to help make that difference for you, and that is where Jimmy and the Right Path team come in. 702-744-8344. I encourage you to pick up the phone. We are standing by off the air right now to get you scheduled to talk directly with Jimmy. 702-744-8344. It's that number for you again. Or, of course, if online's easier for you, head to rightpathwm.com. Just click the contact tab, plug in your information, and we'll have a Right Path teammate reach out directly to you. One more time, 702-744-8344 or rightpathwm.com. That is going to do it for us this week. We will be back next week, same time, same place, with more great insight from certified financial planner Jimmy Lynn here on the Right Path to Retirement. Take care.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Right Path Wealth Management. Right Path Wealth Management is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Right Path Wealth Management are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Any reference to the protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Right Path Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Right Path Wealth Management.
Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations, wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships.